pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear God, thank you for this pretty spring day, and thank you for all the people who come together to work to make Boonville a good place to live. Help us as we endeavor to make good decisions for our community. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Sue. Roll call.
Meadows,
Here.
Bozart,
Here.
Hurt,
Here.
Carter,
Here.
Venable,
Here.
Dorman, Stock,
Here.
Young.
Here. We have the hearing of citizens' comments. If anybody in the audience would like to make a comment, that would be appreciated. You can come on up the podium, and you'll have 5 minutes. And there is 0. Approval minutes of March 18, 2019. Any corrections or changes? And we will let them stand as submitted. There are no consent items. We'll start right off with. Oh, thank you, Teresa. What would I do without you? Obviously. Presentation of accounts and claims. As I remember, it's on page 9.
Ordinance appropriating money. Be it ordained by the Council of the City of Boonville as follows. Section 1. For the purpose of paying salaries and various accounts against the City of Boonville, which have been allowed by the Council at the regular meeting thereof on April 1st, 2019, the sum of $359,144.89. General Fund, $146,472.26. Sanitation, $30,837.28. CIP tax, $19,095, $94.00. Waterworks, $77,726.70. Capital projects, $1,500 even. Wastewater, $55,627.98. Tourism, $6,330.47. Gaming, $15,046.35. Parks and Water, $6,509.85. Section 2. The accountant is hereby authorized and instructed to draw checks on the respective city bank accounts in favor of the persons whose salaries and accounts have been allowed as above, amounting to $359,144.89, being the total amount of money above appropriated. Section 3. This ordinance shall take effect and be enforced from and after its passage, first reading on April 1st, 2019. Read for the second time this first day of April 2019, since a copy was made available prior to the meeting.
Second reading, title only.
Ordinance appropriating money.
Mayor, make a motion to approve this.
Thank you, Morris. So, thank you for the second, Whitney. Any questions or comments? Roll call.
Meadows,
Yes.
Bozarth,
Yes.
Hurt,
Yes.
Carter,
Yes.
Venable,
Yes.
Stock,
Yes.
Young.
Yes. Unfinished business. We'll start with item A, second reading of bill number 2019-009, amending the schedule of administrative fees.
An ordinance of the City of Boonville, Missouri, adopting a new schedule of administrative fees, Appendix G in the Code of General Ordinances, providing an effective date therefore, and repealing all ordinances in conflict with this ordinance.
Okay, and we do have some discussion in your packet, page 10 and 11, were some suggested fees. Kate, do you want to help cover this, please? Some suggested fees that were sponsored by the Parks and Rec Board.
So the Parks and Recs Board met just after your meeting of the first reading, and one of the topics of conversation was the fees relevant to the parks, so the shelter house fees, and then also the pool fees. The Parks and Recs Advisory Board had some reservations about raising the pool fees. One, they just wanted to make sure that we weren't pricing out citizens. They also were worried that maybe since we hadn't added anything new, that maybe raising prices didn't look good. And then they just wanted to make sure that the residents who live in our city and support us by shopping in our local stores through sales tax and property tax are able to continue to enjoy the pool. So one of the things that Paul and I had talked about when we did some research was that several pools have what they call a resident and a non-resident fee. I didn't go into great research as to how they determine a resident. I don't know if they force them to show a driver's license or if they just an honor system. But they kind of liked that idea because they thought that way the people who are the residents kind of get a break on the price increase. They did go up 25 cents off of the current rate. I tried to demonstrate that as compared to what you guys had, so it's kind of in the middle, and then put the non-resident rates at the suggested. They generally obviously didn't have any comments on the daycare, commercial passes, and they kind of split the difference again on the pool parties, but it was primarily the day passes and the season passes that they wanted to make those comments. If you guys have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Do we have any idea, have they tracked this in the past, resident versus non-resident?
No, it's not, and that's another thing I think at the last council meeting, or maybe a couple council meetings, when I came to talk to you, that's one thing we're gonna have our cashiers, not just resident versus non-resident, but do a better job of tracking. Like, we don't know how many people that come in are coming in off of a pool pass, a season pass versus a daily admission. I just don't have that breakdown. All of the revenues that come in right now are lumped into one category of admissions. That's it. So whether you bought a pool party, you bought a pool pass, or you just bought a day pass, it all comes into the one revenue account that's admissions. Now, we can try to look at a printout and parse out whether it was a pool pass or what, but it takes a lot of work. So this year we've put in several revenue codes more internally for us, and we're asking the cashiers this year to do a better job. So when they cash out at the day, it's going to say I sold 10 pool passes, 1 punch card, and then all the rest were daily admissions. So we can start tracking and looking at it, and then also just encouraging them to do a little bit more thorough job of people who come in off season passes. So just really making sure we get that daily count, and then kind of seeing where we are, because we don't have any good information.
On your commercial passes, what determines a small, medium, and large?
It's the number of kids, but I
I
can't
know.
remember offhand.
Somebody's gonna be questioning that, why?
It didn't change, and I can't remember offhand. I'd have to look at it. I want to say it's like
Okay, you've
5, 10,
got
and
the
20.
number already.
Yeah, and those
Okay,
numbers didn't change, to be honest
Yeah.
with you.
That's fine.
Okay, 2 good questions. Anybody else? Our discussion is, as we saw in the minutes, really focused around beginning to get ourselves in a position where we can get closer to break even on the pool. But we're not necessarily looking to do it all at once. The fees that we discussed in the last meeting were relatively minor. It's not a whole bunch difference here compared to what we had planned to do. Kate, do you know if the council is okay with these rates, whether or not we have to go through another reading, or whether or not they can be modified today?
I think, I'm not the parliamentarian, but I believe what you would do is that you would make an amendment to the ordinance, and you would adopt the suggested rates in place of what was initially, and you could approve that ordinance as amended. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Testing my knowledge here.
Did I ask the wrong person again, Teresa?
We're good. She got it.
We got to the right answer, didn't we? Okay.
Well, the only thing I can see on this is we need to establish some way to check this non-resident thing, or else it's gonna be, a driver's license is one thing, but a lot of them aren't gonna have driver's license.
Yeah, I mean, we could just
Yeah.
ask people an address, I mean, and if they, I like I said, I haven't done any research as to how these people actually check it, so I want to say that I'm not sure what that entails.
Some retail places will ask for a zip code. What's your zip code?
Mm-hmm.
That might be a way.
That's not bad.
And that
That's a
stretches
little
out,
quicker.
and it stretches out a little bit further than just Boonville, which if you guys are fine with that, that would be fine. I mean, you encapsulate Cooper County as well, but if that doesn't,
Well, the main thing is that the cashier is asking,
yes.
and whether he or she gets lied to or not is not something that they can.
Yeah, and while you guys could think about this, I also think if you're not sure which way you wanna go, I think you could probably pull that part out of the amendment, of the ordinance itself for today, and then you could think about it and come back and refix it. I was just gonna say that, and that's fine, but in terms of timing, we'll start training our lifeguards and our cashiers in mid-April, May, so just don't wait too long.
Well, I don't have no problem with the amendment, other than they need to get a plan in place when they're training on how to carry it out. I mean, you know, it's
How
one
many
thing
of
to
us-
say it, another,
How
something
many of
else
us
to do
on
it.
here on the board use the pool regularly? Okay. Bobby, I know you do. Pretty regular. Yeah, and we've seen each other over there. It seems to me if we're just asking, that's huge compared to where we are now, right?
I think it's fine to ask, but you're gonna have people that are gonna tell, they're not gonna wanna tell you their address or something, but you'll get some flavor. I think you'll get the majority of people will tell you, and then you'll be able to
Right,
at least get some idea of what you're doing.
yeah. And Brett's right, that's a good training issue. We can get them started on that and get started on keeping track. What we don't have now is we don't have good numbers. We can't tell what we've got and what we don't have. Is there a motion to amend?
I'll make the motion to amend.
I have a question.
Go ahead,
How
Henry.
much revenue do you think this is gonna bring in?
I mean, extra revenue? Is that
Extra
what you're talking
revenue,
about?
yes.
I'm not really sure, I mean, I can't tell you that
Won't be much.
I think the Parks and Recs Board was just worried about putting in the fees, and particularly on citizens that might already feel like they're, you know, supporting the pool by living and shopping here in town. And we generally just look at our revenues and assume they're gonna be about the same or maybe a little more. It's an inexact science. to
But
be
you
best.
realize that other people shop in this town too.
Yeah,
you know,
I
so-
think the Parks and Recs Board was just trying to find the middle ground.
The other thing we took, Henry, that I think is important is that you'll remember when the council began to take the short changes or the short increases on water and sewer and trash. And the goal there was to do it consistently so that you're not whamming them all of a sudden. And with that consistency, eventually you get back to being able to keep up. And, you know, like I think we were positive cash last year, right? On water and sewer, right? Yeah, that took several years, but we got there.
Right.
Here, we need to do the same thing, cause our loss last year was big.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, you know, try this year, and then we've got a better idea going forward of how many are resident versus non-resident, and then we got something to track it with, but, you know, until we try it, we don't know.
Yeah.
So,
Would you rather see more, Henry? I didn't ask you that question.
Would I rather see more?
More increase?
No, I just wanna see how it's gonna work.
Yeah.
You know, that's
Okay.
the main thing. I mean, cause a lot of people aren't gonna tell you, you know, that, you know, they.
You're right. Susan?
Do other towns our size do a resident, non-resident type of collection?
Yeah, I wish I had that sheet in front of me, but I believe Nixa or Chillicothe instituted this system. There's also a lot of, I will say, like, and you see it oftentimes in like St. Louis, where there's sort of competing municipalities, and you live in Baldwin, and you go to the Maryland Heights pool, and I guess they don't like that, so they do that a lot more. But there was a couple of towns that did it, and then obviously sort of similar to a YMCA methodology, where you get to come into the pool for $25 if you're a member and $50 or whatever. So it's, you know, some of those too. But it wasn't every pool, but I would say, you know, there was at least 5 or 6 that we saw that did this resident and non-resident rate.
I'll make a motion, we approve this ordinance.
Thank you, Morris. Brent, give us a second. Any further discussion?
Do we need the amendment on there first?
Yes.
I beg
You
your
gotta
pardon,
put
sir?
the motion on the table, then now you come back and amend it.
All right, so
I'll make a motion now that, we, vote on the amendment to include these, increases to the pool. You vote on the amendment, then you come back and vote on the motion.
okay.
Okay, so I have a first.
Do what?
I have a first now to include the amendment. So I had a first to approve the bill.
You got to have the motion on the table before you can amend it.
Exactly. So I've got a first and a second for that.
Right.
But now I have a first
To
for
amend
the
it.
amendment. Now I
Yes.
need a second.
Is there a second?
Yeah.
Whitney.
I didn't hear. It was Whitney. Okay.
Speak up, Whitney, please.
Okay. So we're voting on the motion first and the amendment
No.
second.
No.
Or we're voting on both.
No, you vote on the amendment.
first.
Amendment first.
Okay, all right. Roll call on the amendment.
On the amendment to include Parks and Recreation fees into the original bill for pool.
Is this including the animal control?
No.
This is the amendment
I know,
On the pool.
on the pool.
okay,
And animal control did not change,
okay.
correct?
Yeah,
I just
but-
wanted to double check.
Yeah, no, it didn't change.
Okay. Amendment on the pool. Meadows,
Yes.
Bozarth,
Yes.
Hurt,
Yes.
Carter,
Yes.
Venable,
Yes.
Stock,
Yes.
Young.
Yes.
Okay, roll call on the, motion, or the original, right?
Yes. Okay, so we have a roll call on the bill with the amended pool rates. Meadows,
Yes.
Bozarth,
Yes.
Hurt,
Yes.
Carter,
Yes.
Venable,
Yes.
Stock,
Yes.
Young.
Yes.
Okay, thanks y'all. I want to make one quick comment. This is why we have boards for all of these different organizations, is to give us input, to tell us what they think and what they believe. It's important for us to listen to those things. We don't have to agree with them, but it's important for us to listen to them, because they need to feel like they've got input with all of us. Okay, item B, second reading of bill number 2019-010, amending ordinances to set forth policy prohibiting conflicts of interest.
An ordinance of the City of Boonville, Missouri, amending Section 2-73 of the Code of General Ordinances to set forth the city's policy prohibiting conflicts of interest.
Make a motion this be approved.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mike. Comments, questions? Roll call.
Meadows,
Yes.
Bozarth,
Yes.
Hurt,
Yes.
Carter,
Yes.
Venable,
Yes.
Stock,
Yes.
Young.
Yes.
Thank you. Item 8A, discussion and action of interim agreement with Doug Obley. That is on page 12. I think everybody had a chance to read it. What this does is align, you're gonna explain it.
Yeah, well, first of all, I just want to say that ML caught my typo at the bottom paragraph. It says you'll provide the city a monthly invoices for the houses worked. It should be hours. Spell check didn't catch that because it's spelled correctly. This interim agreement is it just basically extends what we're already doing with Doug through this entire fiscal year. I think there was some discussion that Doug and I and Ned and Earl had that as we're still working our way through the legal arrangement, maybe this is the permanent arrangement, maybe not, but we didn't want to tie us into something, nor did we want to tie Doug into something that if it, for some reason, didn't work or we needed to go in a different direction, that we would still have the flexibility to do that. I believe Doug would say this is okay with him. And we've been doing this now since January, and he comes regularly. He comes about once a week for 2 or so hours, 3 hours, whatever he needs. And then otherwise, staff is just emails him during the day, whenever during the week that they need him to discuss things. So it's worked out fine to date.
Any comments, Doug?
No, I think it's fine being on double secret probation for
Okay, this also aligns our arrangement with the fiscal year, which was something we wanted to get accomplished. Is there a motion?
I make a motion this be approved.
Thank you, Morris. Second. Mike, thank you for the second. Any comments or questions? Roll call.
Meadows,
Yes.
Bozarth,
Yes.
Hurt,
Yes.
Carter,
Yes.
Venable,
Yes.
Stock,
Yes.
Young.
Yes. Thank you, Doug. You got 12 months now. Item B, first reading of bill number 2019-012, authorizing the executing of the state grant for airport improvements.
An ordinance of the City of Boonville, Missouri authorizing execution of a state block grant agreement with the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission, MHTC, to secure funding for airport improvements.
Reports of standing committees. Housing Authority, Morris.
They're moving forward, and Bob did offer, if the council would like at any time, he would come to one of our council meetings to answer any questions we might have, but they're in good standings and doing a good job down there.
Any questions for Morris? Item B, Fire Board. Brian?
That meeting was called off due to lack of a quorum.
Okay. Item C, Street, Alley, and Sanitation Board. Michael?
That meeting was canceled.
Okay. ML, would you give me about 5 minutes after the meeting tonight? Yes, sir. Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. That way I don't have to chase you. Reports of city officials. City Administrator, I don't think he's got anything to say. You will notice on page 26, an array of the boards again, and we have some vacant positions listed here. Some of these vacant positions are people who are current members of these boards that have not re-upped or have not been asked to re-up. So if you're responsible for any of these boards, make sure you get with your people, and if they need to be re-upped, as Teresa can fill you in, make sure you get them contacted and get them re-upped. Questions on that? Okay, I have 3 new appointments for local agency funding. Becky Ehlers, Mike Poindexter, and Albert Turner. Could I have a motion to approve those, please?
I'll make a motion to approve them.
Thank you, Morris.
Just to clarify, Mike and Albert both has been on it in the past.
Right. Thank
I
you.
just wanted to let the council know that
Yep.
Becky will make us a good member.
Good. Any questions to Morris? All right, we get Morris's motion, we got Whitney's second. Roll call.
Meadows,
Yes.
Bozarth,
Yes.
Hurt,
Yes.
Carter,
Yes.
Venable,
Yes.
Stock,
Yes.
Young.
Yes. Okay. That's all I had for this evening. Doug, you got any comments?
No.
Oh, good, thank you.
Glad to answer any questions.
Anybody have any questions? Okay, city clerk.
I have nothing, thank you.
All right, anybody got some miscellaneous?
ML might go over this.
Good point, thank you.
At your desk, you have the ad copy, or we're gonna use it as a flyer for the spring cleanup or the bulk cleanup. That's the week of April 15th. So on whatever day is your normal trash day, that will be your spring or bulk cleanup day. Note that you'll put your pile out there, and the trash truck may come by and pick up what they can, or your normal trash sacks or trash can, and leave the pile, and then they may come back if they have to have help or a different truck. So the guy picking your trash up won't necessarily pick up your pile.
It's good instructions. Morris?
Not on that, and I hadn't mentioned this to you, Emil, but I think I would encourage the citizens that's got tree limbs, there's still a lot of tree limbs, to get them out on the curb so the city can pick them up before they get busy and don't have time.
We have actually been working on, and Parks Department too, on picking up tree limbs since that large snowstorm in January.
Yeah.
There have been whole weeks that we've dedicated nothing but that.
I just noticed a lot of houses around that they're still scattered all over their yards, and it would be helpful to get them out there where y'all can get rid of them before you get busy.
Any other questions? I've got a real quick update on the sustained flooding conditions. Currently, the river's at 29 feet and rising a little bit. The forecast is for it to start dropping pretty much any time now, and then drop to near normal flood stage by the end of the week, which is 21 feet. It's been in the sustained moderate flood stage for almost 3 weeks now. We have not had any infrastructure that is in jeopardy or damaged or in peril. We have experienced some water treatment plant issues with background ammonia. The floodwaters are carrying a larger amount of ammonia in the water than is normal, and that ammonia nullifies or uses up the chlorine that we use for disinfectant. So we have had to turn up the amount of chlorine that we use to disinfect. In some cases, we were using 3 times as much as we had been. We have had tech reps come down and help us adjust and fine-tune our chlorinators. We've put a 4th chlorinator on the line, one that is a spare that's not used regularly. That's all fine. And in fact, now that the flood has continued, the background ammonia has lessened, and we're not having we're still feeding elevated amounts of chlorine to maintain the necessary disinfection contact time, but we're able to back it down a little bit as that background ammonia lessens. We have several areas, low-lying areas, that are easily accessible to the public, but I believe that we have not seen onlookers in that flood areas because the weather's been a little cool or a little poor. However, the weather's getting better, and I predict that we'll start seeing folks venture into the floodwaters at Veterans Park down on 10th Street, down on Rule Street, the Roops Branch, Reams Branch, where those are backed up, Lily Branch. Though we have no indication that we have had any sanitary sewer bypasses in any of the floodwaters, that doesn't mean it's not there, and it most certainly isn't there because the city of Omaha lost their wastewater treatment plant. So there's a number of reasons where playing in the floodwater is not a good idea. First of all, it's not sanitary. Secondly, even though you may think you know what was out there before the floodwaters covered it, that's been a month ago now, 3 weeks ago. So there's something that's eroded or built up there, and you don't know it's there, and you most certainly can't see it through those dark waters. It's not the safe ground that you know. So it's a general caution, stay away from those floodwaters, stay out of those floodwaters. We in the past have tried to barricade and cone off areas, but that's impossible. We can't do that. The police department has done well in the past of catching someone and running them off. And it's just simply rolling down the window and yelling at them, get out of the water. But they can't be everywhere at the time, so I just caution you that flood water is not safe water to play in, and it's going to get more attractive with the nicer weather. Any other questions?
Thanks, Demo. Any other questions? Okay, guys and gals got your calendar? This is an interesting evening, by the way. Tuesday, April 9th, which is our normal schedule for P and Z, which starts at what time?
6, right? P&Z starts at 6. P&Z starts at 6.
P&Z starts at 6
So
here,
we'll-
the second Tuesday of the month.
Yeah.
Right, okay. And we're gonna have sign die
At 7.
at 7. Think we'll be able to fit that, or do we need Matt to move back a half an hour?
I think we should be able to be done. We only have 2 agenda items, so we should be okay.
Okay, all right, but the one agenda item, the gentleman doesn't have a long speech to give us, you don't think?
He has 5 minutes because he's in public comment.
Okay, all right, then perhaps we can get that done.
Yeah.
All right, if you will put, particularly you four, if you'll put that on your calendar, please, because we'll need to swear you in. And do we have any others besides them?
Brad and then 4 council seats for the city council.
Brad, too?
City
You got your
attorney
calendar with you,
position,
Brad?
and the 4 council seats.
Okay, before we adjourn, Brad, did you have anything? It's nice to see you, though. Thanks for coming by.
I have 2 more comments, if that's okay.
Let me think. Go for it, Kate.
One, I just wanted to echo Morris's comment about please bringing the tree limbs out. Currently, to date, we are not doing any code enforcement on tree limbs. We are giving people a chance to bring them out to the curb. At some point in time, our grace period will subside, at which point in time we will send you a letter, and then we will send you down that path of doing it ourselves and then charging you. So it behooves everyone, as the weather is nicer, to bring the tree limbs to the curb, and we'll take care of it. And the code enforcement staff always appreciates not having to send letters out. The second thing I wanted to say is that the city staff and planning and zoning are getting ready to talk about medical marijuana and what that means for Boonville. I encourage everyone here to talk with your neighbors, your friends, and kind of get some feedback. Frankly, we've been looking at what MML and what other communities have been doing, and it's all over the map. There are some very broad guidelines that are outlined by the amendment, and then the state is promulgating the rules about who gets to be licensed. But the inspection, the enforcement, and the planning and zoning and all of those sort of things are all up to each municipality. So I'm sure we will be continuing to talk about this, and it will likely have both public hearings and some significant discussion here at council as to what that looks like. So I just wanted to get everyone on the radar screen. If you're not familiar with what we voted for in November, you should look into it. And we have a really great MML article, and I'll try to get it in the next council meeting. If you guys have any questions, you can ask me too.
Kate,
Yes, sir.
I talked to the building, well, not the building inspector, but the city inspector the other day, and he said that he would talk to you about getting the trash moved from down on Spruce Street, the corner of Spruce, and because it's right next to our church. And,
Okay.
And I noticed the trailer was gone, but there's still a bunch of stuff there.
Okay. Is it on the curb like advanced disposal, or it needs to be pulled out?
No, it's just
Piled.
throw it out in the yard, yeah.
Okay, we'll take care of it.
Okay, thank
Thanks.
you.
Is there a motion?